Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast, everybody. I'm Samuel Harrison, and with me again is the fantastic Olivia Harper.
Always a pleasure.
So today, we're diving into something that, might raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah.
Can laughing hard, like for a full 10 minutes, actually cause a jump in your blood pressure?
Oh,
It
interesting.
seems a little strange, right? We always hear laughter is good for you.
Right, good for the soul.
Yeah.
It's a great question, and the answer is, well, it's a bit more nuanced than just a yes or a no.
Okay.
When we laugh, our bodies, they go through a whole bunch of physical changes. It's really quite fascinating when you think about it. You're exhaling forcefully, your airways are constricting even the pressure in your esophagus, and your diaphragm increases.
Okay, so I'm starting to see where this is going.
Yeah.
Like some of the same things that are happening when we exercise.
Exactly. And as we know, exercise definitely has an impact on blood pressure.
For sure.
During both laughter and physical activity, your heart rate, cardiac output, and then stroke volume, they all increase. And these are all key players in how our blood circulates.
Right.
So it makes sense that they would also have an influence on our blood pressure.
So it's not just a feeling then.
Yeah.
Laughter really does get our cardiovascular system going.
It does.
But how much of an effect are we really talking about here?
Well, there was one study published in Blood Pressure Monitoring that looked at what happened to people's blood pressure while they were watching a sitcom.
Okay.
They specifically focused on normotensive volunteers. So these are people who typically have healthy blood pressure readings.
I bet those volunteers enjoyed that research study.
Right.
But, okay, so what did the researchers actually find?
Well, you might be surprised their systolic blood pressure, that's the top number in a reading, the pressure when your heartbeats went up by an average of 12 millimilli Hg while they were laughing.
12 points.
Wow.
That's actually pretty significant.
It is.
Did the diastolic pressure, the bottom number, change at all?
It did increase a little bit, but the change wasn't considered statistically significant.
Yep.
So it seems the most noticeable immediate impact of laughter is on that systolic reading.
So laughing for a solid 10 minutes could definitely cause a temporary spike,
It seems so.
especially in that systolic pressure.
Yeah.
What does this mean for us, though? Should we, be worried about having a good laugh?
That's where things get really interesting. The findings of this study, they raise some important considerations, especially when it comes to getting accurate blood pressure measurements. Imagine you're at the doctor's office.
Okay.
And you have a good laugh with your doctor right before they take your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That reading might be higher than it would normally be.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So are we saying people should try to stay serious at the doctor's office? No cracking smiles, no sharing funny anecdotes?
Not necessarily. I think the takeaway here is awareness.
Okay.
Healthcare providers should be aware that laughter can cause a short-term increase in blood pressure. And patients should be mindful that a blood pressure reading taken right after a laughing fit might not be a completely accurate reflection of their typical blood pressure.
So it's like taking your blood pressure right after a workout.
Exactly.
You need to let things settle down a bit before you get a truly accurate reading.
It's all about context. But this conversation about the immediate effects of laughter shouldn't overshadow the potential long-term benefits.
Right. We don't want to scare people away from having a good laugh.
Of course not.
So let's talk about the bigger picture. How does laughter fit into the overall picture of heart health and well-being?
Well, there's a growing body of research that suggests laughter can actually be good for your cardiovascular health in the long run.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Some studies have shown that laughter can improve vascular function, meaning your blood vessels are better able to do their job.
Okay,
This could potentially reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular problems down the road.
that makes sense. We know stress is a major risk factor for heart problems.
Yes.
And laughter is a fantastic stress reliever.
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical health. Laughter has incredible benefits for our mental and emotional well-being, too. It can help us cope with tough situations, lift our spirits, and strengthen our social connections.
So the message isn't to avoid laughter.
No.
Instead, we should understand how it might temporarily affect our blood pressure
Right.
and celebrate the positive effects it has on our well-being.
Exactly. It's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
We want to encourage the positive aspects of laughter while also being aware of its potential influence on blood pressure readings, especially in a healthcare setting.
This has been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
It's amazing how something as simple as laughter can have such a complex effect on our bodies.
It is.
Yeah.
It highlights those intricate connections between our physical and emotional state.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway that you hope listeners will remember from this episode?
Well, I think there are two main points to keep in mind. First, laughter can definitely cause a temporary increase in blood pressure, particularly that systolic reading.
Right.
This awareness is crucial in medical settings where accuracy is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
Second, and just as important, we shouldn't let this knowledge dampen our joy in a good laugh.
Yeah,
The long-term benefits for our hearts, stress levels, and overall well-being are too significant to ignore.
absolutely.
Hmm.
It's a great reminder that context is everything.
Wow.
Laugh heartily and often, but maybe take a moment to relax before that blood pressure check.
I love that. And it actually raises an interesting question for all of us to consider.
Oh, yeah.
How can we balance the need for accurate blood pressure measurement with the desire to promote the positive aspects of laughter, especially in healthcare settings?
Hmm. That's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of laughter and blood pressure. I'm Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper.
And you've been listening to the EMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe, like, comment, and share it with anyone who might be interested in learning more about blood pressure. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, stay curious and keep those hearts healthy